Sadashiva Samarambham Śaṅkarāchārya Madhyamam Asmadācārya Paryantam Vande Gurum Paramparam Tapobhihi Kshena Papanam Shantanam Vitaraginam Mumukshunam Apekshyoyam Atmabodho Vidhiyate. So we had the first introductory class and just the first shloka. This Atmabodha is a text written by Ādi Śaṅkarāchārya, and in the first shloka itself he gives the adhikari, what is, for whom is this book written. This book is written for people who have gone through the sadhana chatushtayam. That is, their papam, their sins are completely gone. Shantanam, they have control of senses, control of manas, manonigraha. Vitaraginam, those who do not have any attachment towards the things in the world. And beyond that, the last set of people are those who are desirous of liberation, moksha. So, mumukshunam api apekshaha. This is a text that can serve as a guideline, or this is something that people expect. They want a guide. They have reduced all of this. They are on the path of yoga. They are on the path of controlling their senses and everything. They also desire for moksha. But what is the guideline for that? How do you understand it? So this becomes a text that is apekshaha, something that is expected or something that is wished for by these people. So ayam Atmabodha vidhiyate. Now we move on to the next shloka. Shlokas 2 to 5 give you an idea of what moksha is. Okay. So, bodho anya sadhanebhyo hi sakshan mokshaika sadhanam pakasya vanhivat jnanam vina moksho na siddhyati. This is the second shloka. Anya sadhanebhyaha hi sakshat mokshaika sadhanam bodhaha. So anya sadhanebhyaha, more than any of the other sadhanas, there can be many paths, many tools with which you can attain moksha. But mokshaika sadhanam, mokshasya ekasya sadhanam, or mokshasya eka sadhanam. You split it in that manner. If you see in the Vyakyanam here, he says mokshasya eka sadhanam. Eka sadhanam iktite mukhya karanam. This is the primary hetu, primary cause for giving moksha, which is bodhaha. Bodhaha is jnanam, brahmatmaikya jnanam, a jnanam that is a knowledge that the Brahman and the Atma are one and the same. There's no difference between these two. Now, to attain this moksha, we need this jnanam more than any other sadhanas, any other tools. What are those anya sadhanas? Anya sadhanebhyaha atmajnana vyatiriktebhyaha krichra chandrayanadi karma yogebhyaha sarvebhyaha. So, amongst all sadhanas, amongst all work, like yoga, karma yoga, like tapas, Chandra, Krichra Chandrayanadi tapas. Chandrayana tapas is something where you start fasting based on the cycle of the moon. The first day of the moon, you start with one kavalam, one mushti of food, and then you move on to 2, then 3, then 4. As it goes to Paurnami, you have a full meal. And then you slowly reduce that meal to none on Amavasya. So you following the moon cycle of food is called Chandrayana Vratam. This is a very tough thing to follow. Every day in and day out to follow this kind of vratam is very difficult. But these karmas are also not going to be your mukhya karanam for moksha. It is only brahmatmaikya jnanam eva atra sakshat. Sakshat is, it is a direct cause for moksha. Bodh anya sadhanebhyaha bodhaha hi sakshat mokshaika sadhanam. So this is the anvaya here. Bodha or jnanam is the main or direct sakshat. Sakshat ityukte itara anapeksham aparoksham. Itara anapeksham, it does not expect anything else to add on to it. It is just something that gives you a direct pathway to moksha. What is the example that he gives here? In this entire Atmabodha, you will find a lot of these small examples which are very useful to understand what is going on, why he says this and all. So it's a very beautiful example that he gives. Pakasya vanhivat jnanam vina mokshaha na siddhyati. Jnanam vina mokshaha na siddhyati. Jnanam vina, without jnanam, without knowledge, mokshaha na siddhyati. Liberation is not possible. The knowledge is the direct means for moksha. What is the example he gives here? Pakasya vannivat. Pakasya, for cooking. Fire is the main karanam, hetu there, which is a direct, you don't need a patram, you don't need water, nothing of that sort, but you just directly put something in the fire, it automatically gets cooked. So vanhi is more important than anything else. We need that heat source, just as how pakasya, just as fire is the direct cause for cooking, pakasya, in the same manner, jnanam vina, without knowledge, mokshaha na siddhyati, it is not possible for attaining moksha. Jnanadeva tu kaivalyam. Right? He gives that quotation at the end here. So if you see the example, he says, Yatha salila tandula indanadhi sadhaneshu satsu api. Even though there are all these ingredients that we need, like salilam, water, tandula, rice, indhana, fuel, all of these are present. But if you do not have your source of heat, agnim vina, pakaha na jayate, cooking is not possible. Tatha, in the same manner, jnanam, brahmatmaikya vishayam jnanam. We need that knowledge. It should be an experiential knowledge, not just a mere intellectual knowledge that we need for moksha. We need an experiential knowledge of brahmatmaikyam for us to attain moksha. Otherwise, moksha is not going to happen. Yasmat nitya naimittikadi sadhanam chitta shuddhi dwara kramena muktim sadhayishyati. Why I have given this is, why is it that there are so many sadhanas that are given? If you take up Bhagavatam and made a note of that, the couple of shlokas, there are about 3 shlokas in Bhagavatam, Tritiya Skanda. I'll just share that with you to have an understanding of what it is, right? So he gives different kinds of sadhanas to attain moksha. Everything, for all of these, there is only mameva vrajanti iti. Everybody comes and attains only that Bhagavan or that Paratattvam, which is Parabrahma Swarupa. The different kinds he gives are, according to the ashrama, there are many different sadhanas that one can go through. Kriyaya, kratubihi, danaihi, tapas swadhyaya marshanaihi, atmendriya jayenapi, sanyasena cha karmanam. These are all different kinds of sadhanas that are present. Bhagavata has a different connotation. It has a different approach to the whole thing, because whatever you do, ultimately you will have to go through jnanam and come there. Jnanadeva tu kaivalyam. There are so many different sadhanas. Kriyaya, you can do seva. You can do volunteering work to everybody, which is also a good pathway to adopt. Kratubihi, performing yagas. Danaihi, performing charities. These 3 are grahasthashrama dharmas, which people go through. The next is vanaprastha dharma. Tapaha, tapas, penance. Swadhyaya, understanding one's own shakha, reading. Mananam, marshanam. Marshanam is mimamsa. Going through over in a, how do I say that? You introspective manner. Yeah. You keep on analyzing it. Atma Indriya Jayena. This is more to do with the yogi, right? The control of Atma, Manas, Indriyam, all of these. Karmanam Sanyasena. As a sannyasi, you have to let go of all your karmas. Yogena, Vividha Angena, Bhakti Yogena, Dharmena, Ubhayachinnena, Pravritti, Nivritti. These are all the different sadhanas that he talks about. But all of these are give rise to krama mukti. These do not give rise to sakshan moksha. That is our point here. Right? There may be so many different sadhanas that are prescribed, but sakshat mokshaika sadhanam tu atraiva. Bodhena eva, jnanena eva. So, yasmat nitya naimittikadi sadhanam chitta shuddhi dwara kramena muktim sadhayishyati. That krama mukti is possible. It is possible with every other sadhanam that you have in hand. No, there is no doubt about it. But jnanam tu janma matrena sakshat moksham prayachati. The moment it is born in our mind, that jnanam, the moment it is born, janma matrena, as soon as you get that akhandakara vritti, you understand that Brahma Sakshatkaraha, then there is moksha, nothing else. Tasmat kevala jnanasya eva sakshan moksha hetutvam. So it is only jnanam which will be a hetu, cause for moksha. He gives a couple of quotations at the end. Jnanadeva tu kaivalyam na karmanam anushtanaihi na danaihi tapasapi va Kaivalyam labhate martyaha kintu jnanena kevalam. Ityadi shruti smriti prasiddham. These are all in Upanishad and etc. He doesn't give the quotation where he takes it from. I'm sure we can find it on Google search. So jnana devatu kaivalyam. It is only because of jnana that you can attain moksha. Natu karmana. Na karmana na prajaya dhanena tyagena ikena amritatvamanashuhu parena nakam nihitam guhayam Vibhrajate yadyatayo vishanti. Right? Na karmana na prajaya dhanena va tyagena ekena. It is only by giving up your karma. Vairagyam is the only thing that will give you jnanam and amritatvam anashu. Bodhaha anya sadhanebhyaha hi sakshan moksheka sadhanam pakasya vanhivat. Vanhivat. Vat is a pratyaya that is added to give the meaning of tulyam. Vatihi is the pratyaya there. So vanhivat jnanam vina mokshahana siddhyati. Now we know that it is not possible to attain moksha without jnanam. Right? So what is the status of karma? Karmana api, he says karma yoga and jnana yogam are two aspects of nishthe, dve nishthe pratiyate. In Gita, he says there are two nishtas. One is karma nishtha, and another is jnana nishtha. Then it means that even through karma we can attain moksha, right? Then what is the status of karma? Why does Bhagavan say karma about it, right? Then why? So he says, avirodhitaya karma na avidyam vinivartayet vidya avidyam nihantyeva tejas timira sanghavat. See, you need two things. If you want to remove avidya, remove ignorance, you can't use ignorance again to remove ignorance. You need knowledge to remove ignorance. If you want to remove darkness, you don't bring on another dark item to remove that darkness. You bring in a light, which is virodham. So that is essential. If you are using something to remove something, then you need the opposite action there. You can't use the same thing. Karma cannot remove avidya because there is no contradiction there. Only if there is a contradiction can it remove the ignorance. So, a very beautiful angle. Avirodhitaya, virodhaha tatra nasti. You need, see, it's an amavasya. He gives that example very beautifully. Megha varana amavasya andhakaram iva pravardhayet. It is amavasya, so it is a new moon day, but the whole sky is completely covered by clouds. You think that it is very dark because the sky is covered by clouds. You remove the clouds, then what happens? It is still dark because it is a new moon day. There is no full moon there to give us light. Tadvat, imagine this Megha Varnam is karma. Our the darkness is avidya. This karma cannot remove that avidya. You need vidya to remove that avidya. Vidya is knowledge, avidya is ignorance. Right? So karma avirodhitaya, because of the fact that it is in contradiction. It is not in contradiction. Avirodhitaya, it does not oppose. Tasmat avidyam na nivartayet. It does not remove avidya, it does not remove our ignorance because it is not in conflict or it is not opposed to ignorance. Whereas vidya avidyam nihanti eva. Vidya, knowledge, Nihanti eva. It definitely removes avidya. Vidya ityukte vedyate jnayate vastu anena. Iti vidya. Vidya is the knowledge or something with which you understand the vastu tattvam. The real nature of any object is understood by this vidya. What is that? Shravana, Mananadi, Janya, Atmajnanameva Vidya. So Atmajnanam alone, which is brought about by Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam, that is the Atmajnanam is called Vidya here, which is the light that we need to remove avidya. So Vidya, Avidyam Nihanti Eva. Knowledge definitely destroys ignorance, just as Tejaha Timira Sanghavat. Tejaha Timira Sangham Yata Nihanti Tatha. Vat again here also is that Iva Tulyarthe. Vati Pratyaya. Gadha Andhakaram Iva. Just Timira Sangam. Timira Sangam is, Timira is darkness. Sangha is let's say, deep darkness, right? A whole combination of darkness here. So karma cannot remove because of avidya is something, ignorance is something that covers our prakasha, and that prakasha, we have to have that knowledge of that Atma Swarupam for us to remove that ignorance, and karma cannot remove that ignorance. Is that clear? Avirodhitaya karma na avidyam vinivartayet vidya avidyam nihanti eva tejas timira sanghavat. Fairly simple. So karananashat karyasyapi nashaha. We need the karanam to go off, and that karanam to remove. You can't take up another karanam itself. Karma comes within the... See, why does karma come within the realm of avidya? Because karma, why do you do the action? There is a kamyam involved in that. You are performing those actions. If it is a nishkama karma, then you will get krama mukti. That's not an issue at all. But since every action involves a desire to perform that action, which means you are still in that kama, you are still in the realm of avidya, then it will never remove avidya. You are still putting yourself within that confinement of, I want to do this action. So that is why it is not opposed to avidya, whereas it helps the avidya become even more stronger. The next one is avachinna iva ajnanat tannashe sati kevalaha swayam prakashate hi atma megha apaye amshuman iva. The way we understand this shloka is, see, in the previous shlokas, he said that karma cannot give you moksha because karma cannot remove ignorance. It is only jnanam that can give you moksha. Right? Now, why should we remove this ignorance to attain moksha? Samsara becomes a limitation for us. Because we are limited by many experiences in this samsara. Avachinnaha iva. We do not understand that our real nature is Atma. Instead, we understand this Atma to be confined by actions of I am like this, I am doing this. There is a kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, pramatrutvam. These are all the kinds of attributes that we give to the Atma, saying that I am an agent. I am a person who experiences. So this Atma, because of this connection with the samsara, ajnanat, the karma, there is this ajnanam, ignorance that is constantly there. We have to remove it. But what does it do to us? Why aren't we unable to experience that I am this Atma? This ajnanam stops us from experiencing that Atma because this ajnanam connects us with the samsara, and we feel that this Atma is avachinna. It is limited by all of these things. Avachinnaha iva prakashate tannashe sati ajnanat avachinnaha iva tannashe sati kevalaha swayam atma prakashate megha apaye amshuman iva. where the clouds are covering the sun, and as soon as the clouds are removed, the sun automatically shines. You don't need another torchlight to show that the sun is there. It automatically reveals itself because it is a Swayam Prakasha, Swayam Prakashate. It reveals itself in the sense that it shines like the sun when the clouds pass away. So this Atma, which is actually infinite, you give it a finiteness because of ignorance. Avachinnaha iva abhasate prakashate ajnanat. So Atma, this is actually Atma, which is Atma itukte kutastha asanga chidrupaha. It is consciousness. It is a kutastha nityam. Asangaha, it does not have any connection with the samsara. It does not have attachment with anything. So this Atma Swarupa, Atma, Anavachinnaha api, even though it is not confined, Ajnanat avachinnaha iva. Because of ignorance, because of Maya, it seems as if it is confined. Just like how, this Akasham is one and the same. There is no difference between the Akasha inside the house and Akasha outside. But the walls confine it, and we say, oh, the air inside the house is impure. The air outside is pure. Ityadika. You just need to remove the walls and you understand that it is one and the same. In the same manner, here also, Atma is confined by our Antakarana and etc. And those experiences confine these Atma, and we think it is limited. Avachinnaha iva Atma tannashe sati. When that ajnana is gone, tasya nashe sati, ajnanasya nashe sati, when the ignorance is destroyed, kevalaha atma swayam prakashate. Kevalaha atma shines as the one. Ekaha sanna kevalaha. It shines as the only one entity, just as how megha apaye suryaha prakashate. There is a shloka in Hastamalakiyam. Hastamalakiyam is supposed to be Hastamalaka Stotra, which is a conversation between Ādi Śaṅkarāchārya and his disciple Hastamalaka. The conversation is in the form of shlokas, and there is a shloka there where he says, Ghanachanna drishtir ghanachanna markam yatha nishprabham manyate chati mudha tatha baddhavadbhati yo mudha drishte Sanityopaladhi swarupo hamatma ghanachanna drishtihi ghanachanna markam. We are saying that the megha is actually covering the sun, but it's not covering the sun, it is only covering our eyes. Ghanachanna drishtihi, but what do we say? We say ghanachanna markam. Tadha nishprabham bhati. See, the sun does not have any light at all. The sun has light, but it seems as if it doesn't have light. Avachinnaha iva. In the same manner, the ajnanam, it covers our manas, and we are not able to see that Atma Prakasha. The moment we remove that avidya, it automatically shines of its own accord. We don't need another torchlight to show where this Atma is. So, kevalaha ekaha deshakaladi paricheda rahitaha. It is not confined by any desham, kalam, etc. Like gatadi upadhinashe. When you remove the pot, immediately the akasham inside, it doesn't have to go and attach itself to the akasha outside. It becomes one with the one. That's it. Right? So, avacchinnaiva ajnanat tannashe sati kevalaha swayam prakashatehi atma megha apaye amshuman iva. Amshu is kiranam or rays. Amshavaha asya santi iti amshuman. So the one who has a lot of rays. So it is an epithet for Surya. Megha apaye. Meghasya apaye nashe vinashe sati. I hope it's clear. We can go over this section if that's okay. So Atma Satya Jnananandatmakaha Paramatma Param Brahma Megha apaye Meghasya Swa Avarana Bhutasya apaye Prachanda Vayuvegena Nashe Sati Amshuman Suryaha Iva Ajnana Nashe. He just goes to explain how the Upamanam and the Upameya connect here really well. So what is Atma? Atma is Satya, Jnana, Ananda, Atmakaha. It is of the form of supreme truth, knowledge and bliss, right? Satya, Jnana, Ananda, Atmakaha. Paramatma, it is the supreme entity. Param Brahma. Now what happens? Megha apaye. Megham is removed. There is an avaranam, something that covers this Surya, which is the Megham, which is the cloud. And when that cloud is removed because of a prachanda vayu, because of a great wind that comes and blows that cloud away, nashe sati, that Megha is removed. Amshuman Suryaha iva, just as how the sun shines of its own accord, in the same way Ajnana nashe, when ignorance is also destroyed, Ajnanasya svavarana bhutasya nashe. Ajnanam covers the jnanam. It doesn't cover exactly in the sense that it does not let us experience the Atma. That's why it cannot go and cover, but it covers the antahkaranam here. So, Svavarana bhutasya nashe sadguru mukhat. Here he says prachanda vayu vegena, because a wind comes and removes the megham, removes the cloud, and the sun shines. Here the work of the wind is done by the guru to remove the ignorance. Sadguru mukhat Vedānta shravanādijanya vrittiඥānena. When we listen to Vedanta, there is an akhandakara vritti that happens, and that vritti removes the ajnanam. Ajnane vinashte sati swayameva atma prakashate. The atma automatically reveals itself and shines. Etena atmanaha dehendriya bhinnatvam. It is different from the body mind complex, intellect complex. It is different from the BMI complex, right? So body, mind and intellect. Chit prakashakatvam. It has the quality of shining by itself. I think the red becomes a little, this thing, purnatvam. These are all the adjectives for it. Nityatvam, akhandatvam, anandarupatvam. These are all just different ways of expressing how that Atma is. Now we can go on to the fifth shloka. Ajnana kalusham jivam, jnanabhyasad vinirmalam, kritva jnanam swayam nasyet, jalam kataka renuvat. Ajnana kalusham jivam. Vrittiඥānena nashte sati. So, the avatarika for this is, we understand that when we get the knowledge of vrittiඥānam. What is this vrittiඥānam? Vrittiඥānam is something, the final knowledge is called the vrittiඥānam. Usually, manas takes on the form of any knowledge. What is knowledge? When we look at an object, let's say we have to understand vrittiඥānam here. This becomes a little technical. Otherwise, we can't go on to the next section. So when we say Swarupa Jnanam and Vritti Jnanam, there are two aspects here. One is, there is a pot which has a Swarupam. There is an object, let's say, and we are trying to understand what that object is. How is this, the process of knowledge happening? What is the process that happens here? Now there is a manas which just goes and takes the form about the pot. And that, so in our mind, a thought takes place in the form of that object that we have. So it is called a ghatakara vrittihi, because I have the knowledge of a pot, and so that thought about the pot arises in my mind, and this antahkaranam takes on the shape of a pot, which means I have the knowledge of that pot. Correct? But for me to understand that knowledge, just the manas is not enough. We need a chaitanyam to light it. Without the chaitanyam aspect of it, we cannot have a thought with respect to ghata. Otherwise, even a corpse can have the knowledge of ghata. A corpse does not feel, it does not have any knowledge, there is no activity going on there. Then activity arises only because of the presence of Chaitanyam. The Chaitanyam lights up a thought in your mind about something, and that becomes your knowledge of that pot. So there is a ghata akaram jnanam or a vritti jnanam here. When this Chaitanyam reflects. Now, this is the process that we go through for every knowledge. What is the final knowledge that we need to give us moksha? The knowledge is aham brahmasmi iti jnanam. That aham brahmasmi iti, the mind has to take on that shape completely, purnataya. Not halfway, oh, I have this knowledge, aham brahmasmi. Atrato, there is a jnanam of pot also, there is a jnanam of something else also, TV, computer, YouTube, everything. No, tatha nasti. The entire manas, there should be a transformation of that manas into the form of aham brahmasmi. That is called akhanda akara vrittihi, partless form of brahma jnanam. This is called akhandakara vritti, or this is the jnanam that can destroy ajnanam. So vritti jnanam, or when a guru comes and tells you that tat tvam asi, you are that Brahman, then the student understands that and he takes it as his own, and when he completely experiences that, he has this knowledge of aham brahmasmi. That aham brahmasmi iti akarika jnanam eva akhandakara vritti jnanam iti uchyate. There also you have this chaitanyam which is pratibhati. Now, when there should be only one entity, kevalaha atma eva, then what happens to this vritti jnanam? This vritti jnanam stays or not? Is this vritti jnanam part of the ajnanam or not? No, there can be such questions also, which means there is a vritti jnanam and an atma swarupam. There are two things here, right? So how can atma be one and supreme? You have that doubt here. So all of these will go away. He gives a very beautiful, simple example. The question seems much more complicated than the example answer that he gives. The answers are always very simple in Advaita. The questions are the more complicated ones. So, ajnana kalusham jivam, jnana abhyasat vinirmalam, kritva ajnanam swayam nashyet. That is our keyword here. Swayam nashyet. Jalam kataka renuvat. Kataka renu is something like our potassium permanganate. You put in that potassium permanganate in water, it removes the dirt, and that potassium permanganate also completely destroys itself. As it clears up the water, makes the water nirmalam, it removes the dirt, and that also completely, let's say there are these tablets that you get which you purify, you put it in water, it purifies any muddy water, and that tablet does not remain as mud there. That also completely dissolves inside and it goes away. In the same manner, this akhandakara vritti also gives you the knowledge of the Atma, and it automatically merges with the Atma and completely disappears. Swayam nashyet. It disappears automatically of its own accord. So that is this fifth one. Ajnana kalusham jivam jnana abhyasat vinirmalam. Jnana abhyasat. There is a constant practice of this jnana. The guru gives you that knowledge and you have to do mananam here. By the constant guru upadesha anurupena samakaya shirogrivadi yama niyama shamadhi sadhana sampannam satkriyamana vijatiya, whatever, that we don't need now. Let's go with just this part. What is that jnana abhyasaha? What is the practice, constant practice of jnanam? That purifies the self. And this constant practice of knowledge comes from the Guru Upadesha. Guru Upadesha Anurupena. Whatever the Guru has given an advice, you follow that. You sit in a posture, whatever the Yama, Niyama, Asana, all of these rules that he gives, the Ashtanga Yoga, the Kramena, you go through the Sadhana Sampat. And because of that constant practice of jnanam, ajnana kalusham jivam vinirmalam, that because of that jnana abhyasat vinirmalam jatam jnanam swayam prakashate. Sorry, ajnanam nashyet. Ajnana kalusham jivam. Ajnana kalusham jivam. The jivatma, which is ajnana kalusham, which is completely kalusha or turbid. It is stained by ignorance. Right? He is completely covered by ignorance, or he has become muddied by ignorance. Kalusham. Ajnana kalusham jivam. Jnana abhyasat vinirmalam kuryat. You can make this jiva who is completely covered by ajnanam, rajas, tamas, etc., ragadvesham, all of these are making him completely in a very turbid manner, impure self. You make him pure by constant practice of knowledge. So, katakasya, katakarenuvat, jalam, katakarenuvat, vinirmalam, kritva, swayam api nashyati. That kataka renu is something that brings about purity. Kataka nut, or it is a kind of a nut or a powder. You make a powder of that and then you put it inside muddy water. That settles down after it cleanses the muddy water and it disappears itself. In the same manner, this also jnanam, that vritti jnanam, it constantly tries to purify the self and it swayam nashyati api. Is that clear? So, kataka renuvat, katakasya aushadhi visheshasya churnam iva. It is like a medicinal powder which you put in muddy water. Yatha kataka renuhu avilam jalam nirmalam kritva swayamapi pankena saha viliyate. It clears the muddy water and it also completely disappears within that water. In the same manner, vritti jnanam api, even that akhandakara vritti, vasana kalusham atmanam, sarva vasana nirmuktam kritva. It removes all the impurities from the impure jiva, makes it pure, kritva, after making it vinirmalam kritva, making it pure. That ajnanam or that vritti jnanam, which is also to be treated as an ajnanam, removes itself away from the picture. Swayamapi vasanaya saha viliyate. That also completely merges along with the vasanas. Because its own swasyapi tat karya antarbhutatvat. Because it is also a karyam. It is not the karanam. Karanam here can be only one thing, which is atmaswarupam. The rest are all karya jatam. So it is anityam, which means it has to also go away. Tadanimeva advayaha atma prakashate. So prapanchaha sarvaha api anityaha. This entire world is anityam. Atma eva nityaha. It is very clear. Even this vritti jnanam has to go, because this vritti jnanam has been produced by the upadesha of the guru. Because it is produced, it is anityam. Its purpose is only to give us the knowledge of jnanam, make the jiva nirmalam. So, ajnana kalusham jivam jnana abhyasat vinirmalam kritva. After making it pure, that ajnanam, here this ajnanam is vritti jnanam, that akhandakara vritti swayam nashyet. It will destroy itself, just like how the kataka renu, the nut kataka powder, renu is powder. Just as how this powder completely clears up the water and it also disappears. Clear? So, jnana kalusham jivam, jnana abhyasat vinirmalam, kritva jnanam swayam nashyet, jalam kataka renuvat. Okay.